Hey everybody, it's Josie. Welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope you're still working on looking well to the ways of your household. And with all of the things that's going on in the world today, without getting into any kind of politics, we know that we simply must keep on with what we're doing to make preparations for our families. That being said, it's going to be time for supper in a few hours, and I'm going to make a quick bread to go along with my supper. Now, this is a bread that you don't have to add any yeast to it. It's not a bread that needs to be risen. It's a batter bread, really, is what it is, a quick bread. And you mix it up, and you'll see how the ingredients are simple here in just a little bit, and I'll explain to you how you can add other things into it. And keep in mind, it's not going to be a bread like what you expect, like sandwich bread, you know, that soft bread that you're used to calling bread that you make a sandwich with. Now this is going to rise, and hopefully when it's done baking, it'll be nice and domed up and sliced to eat along with your supper as a bread. But it's a denser, I wouldn't really call it a biscuit, but it's not really a piece of light bread either. But this is another way to have something to add into your menu, so that if you don't have bread, light bread or store-bought bread, this is a bread that you can have for your family that'll put some variety into things. Now I would say that you could use this, you could get really creative and put toppings, different kinds of toppings on it, and toast it under the broiler. Anything that you really want to do with this, it's just up to you what you add, and have some fun with it. So I'm going to turn the camera around so that you can see how easy it is to put this little recipe together. Well, today we're going to be making a garlic cheddar cheese quick bread. One good thing about quick breads is you can really change up the ingredients that you use to flavor your quick bread to make it a savory quick bread or a really sweet quick bread. Now, you may not like garlic at all, and that is fine. You can substitute other herbs and spices. You could put Italian seasoning in, or something else that you would like to have better. It's really, pardon me, it's really up to you what you add to your quick bread. So let's get started here. I've got ingredients laid out, and we'll put this together really simply, and I will put the recipe in the description down below. Now, the first thing that you're going to use is 2 cups of flour. And you're going to need 4 teaspoons of baking powder. And I'm just going to put it right in there with that. And 1 tablespoon of sugar. I'm going to go ahead and get those whisked together. Now, the next thing that I'm going to add is what I'm going to be using to flavor this bread. And I am going to add 1½ teaspoons of garlic powder. Now, make sure when you are making this, you don't grab garlic salt. Make sure you get your garlic powder. And the other ingredient that I'm going to add is 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Okay, I've got all of the dry ingredients whisked together. The next ingredient that I'm going to use to flavor this quick bread is 1½ cups of shredded cheddar cheese. Now, this is actually, for me, this is a Fiesta blend. That's what I had on hand, and you can use whatever cheese you have on hand to put in here. If you don't have cheddar cheese, you could use a cheddar jack, you could use a pepper jack. It's totally up to you. This is your quick bread, and so you're just going to add this right in there to the dry ingredients, and I'm going to give it a toss. And when I've got this incorporated, we'll move on to, there's a clump of cheese right there. We'll move on to the wet ingredients. Now when I tell you that you could play around with your ingredients, your dry ingredients, of course you're going to have to keep your flour and your baking powder, your salt, but the seasonings, the flavorings, the cheese and the herbs, you know, if you want a sweet bread, you may have to add a little bit more sugar. It's totally up to you. You just play around with this recipe so that your family can have a nice bread. This is going to be make a 9-inch loaf pan size for your family for supper or breakfast, whatever you're making. Okay, next I've got to move this out of the way and bring in a bowl for the wet ingredients. The first of the wet ingredients is 1 cup of milk. One large egg that's beaten. And I will tell you guys that when I was getting all my ingredients prepped for this video so they would be nice and neat for you guys, I spilled the bowl of eggs 3 times. I had to clean the mess up 3 times. So I can be a very messy cook. Okay, so I've got my 1 cup of milk, 1 egg, and then I need 2 tablespoons of melted butter right in there as well. And just get those all incorporated. And now the next thing that I'm going to do is just mix the wet ingredients in with the dry ingredients. Now you don't want to get these all in here and mix it to death. You're just wanting to do it just to get the wet ingredients incorporated into the dry ingredients and get it in your baking pan. This isn't going to be a it's not like you're mixing up a cake where you have to really whisk it for quite a little bit of time. This is something that you're going to mix just until it's incorporated. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and switch to my rubber spatula. This would be something that if you had littles that were wanting to help in the kitchen, this would be a recipe that would probably be really easy for them to help with, because there's not really any complicated steps. And let's face it, I've spilled eggs 3 times on this recipe, and if I can make a mess like that and still make the bread. Okay, so you can see it's just incorporated together. It's not going to be mixed all together like what a cake batter would be. It's just incorporated, and I'm simply going to put it in a 9-inch bread pan that has been sprayed. You could grease yours. I used the spray, and you're just going to pour this out, or dump it out really, in your pan. And you can see that it's a really thick batter, quite like a biscuit batter. And I'm just going to get this smeared into the pan. I've got it smeared in the pan, and I'm going to put it in a 350 degree oven and bake it for 45 to 50 minutes, and then take it out and let it cool, and it'll be ready for you to enjoy with your supper. So here's our bread, our quick bread, fresh out of the oven. I've got a piece cut, and I'm going to put some butter on it in just a minute, but I hope that you can see kind of what the crumb is like. it is, like I said, it's not a light bread like, you know, sandwich bread. It's in between that and like a cheddar biscuit. But I think you guys will enjoy it. It's something easy and quick to get a bread to go along with your meal. And it's 350 degrees for 45 to 50 minutes. And mine was ready at about right at 40 minutes. Well, guys, another recipe from the pantry from things that you have on hand, something that can help stretch your budget just a little bit. This is a pretty cost-friendly, quick bread to put on the table for your family. I hope you guys enjoy it. Keep looking well to the ways of your household. And until next time, I'm Josie. I love you. I really do. We're gone.